Alright, welcome to Engine Adventures Off-Road review of the 2020 Ram Rebel. We are in the normal ride height and four-wheel drive, and the reason I'm in normal and not off-road, sorry, let me flip those off. Lots of grass here and it likes upsetting the system. The reason I'm in normal, not the off-road setting, is with this air suspension, it's smoother in normal mode. Once you put it into off-road mode, it gets pretty stiff, and it doesn't really like this high-speed trail. So when compared to others, the Sequoia, the Tundra, both of those were TRD Pros, the Toyota Land Cruiser, the RAV4, this is probably on par with the RAV4, honestly. So all those other vehicles are so much smoother off-road than this is. You can hear it just clang, and I don't know, the suspension just seems stiff. I don't know if there's a lack of travel or what the deal is. It's not necessarily stiff, because like this ride's not bad, but it's when you hit those larger bumps that it just kind of seems like it's always bottoming out. And I don't know whether it is or not, but it definitely does not have the ride that those other vehicles have. Now, it is better than the Ford F-250, but that's a 3/4 ton truck that was built for towing, and this thing's more built for off-road, and it's just not that smooth as an off-roader. So anyway, let's get over to our articulation test hill. There are some cool features here, like being able to use the rear locker when you're in two-wheel drive. I thought Ford was the only one that let you do that, but no, this thing lets you do it. So we'll make sure, it says it's on, but we'll make sure that it is on when we actually get to our hill. Go ahead and throw this back in two-wheel drive. We don't need it right now. I believe I drove the Land Cruiser faster through this too, but you can just see how much I'm bouncing. This is crazy, the amount of, compared to those other off-roaders, I thought this thing would be comparable, you know, pretty smooth, but it just can't handle these rougher roads nearly as well. Should have brought my machete to trim that tree. See, I'm holding on, I'm bouncing around, so I've got to hold on to make sure I don't hit my head or something. So this little 3-liter diesel, it's not fast by any means, but it's not super slow either. It's very consistent. The torque is there. It's just low on horsepower. I mean, I think it's 240 or 260. I can't remember the horsepower specs now, but anyway, it's just a little low on horsepower for a truck this big. That amount of torque is great. I haven't any issues with it. The fuel mileage, of course, is wonderful. So let's go ahead and get into the articulation test. So I left the traction control on here. I was expecting it to kick in and do a little better than it did. Really surprised that it didn't apply the brake to the spinning wheel. I love how capable this is in two-wheel drive with the rear differential locked. You don't get to see this very often, as it's not really a commonly available option. But being able to lock the rear differential just makes a world of difference when articulating and climbing a hill. Two things to note here. The first is how much harder it was for it to climb in four-wheel drive versus two-wheel drive with the rear diff locked. And the second is the articulation. So this does have the air suspension, and I believe it probably has less articulation than the coil spring suspension would. Is kind of average for the class. I mean, a Chevy Trail Boss probably had about the same amount of articulation as this does. I wasn't able to see a big difference or feel a big difference between having the traction control on and having the traction control off. It still seemed to bounce just as much. I just had a slightly different line this time, so it looked a little easier. Again, having the rear differential lock engaged just makes a world of difference. Here you can see it on the front, transferring power pretty well side to side. It's still struggling. This is kind of a rough situation for this truck. I don't know why it had such a hard time with bouncing so much. I don't like doing that. That's how you can damage the drivetrain, so I try to be extra careful when that happens. Probably could have just given it a little more throttle and gone through that easily. And of course, this is the most controlled climb with the rear differential locked and the low gearing. Just makes it a breeze. Like I said, I always try and go as slow as possible because that's the most difficult thing to do, and it had no problem. No vehicle has made it past this point in two-wheel drive. That includes traction control on and off. That includes rear differential locks on and off. But this one did dig the deepest holes, and that's due to these big Duratrack tires. These things have a big, thick tread on them, and it makes them so that they have a lot more traction, and they dig up the dirt a lot better. Something to note is that this diesel engine does not weigh nearly as much as the diesel engines do in those other full-size trucks, the 3/4 and 1 tons, so it didn't really hurt its ability to climb the hill like those other engines do. The traction control is still on, and I do go full throttle at this point. It's obviously cutting power a little bit and trying its best to transfer power just side to side, and it almost makes it, but you can see there it just can't quite do it. Again, as expected, as soon as you lock the rear differential, it climbs up it no problem. I was really surprised at how little intervention there was from the braking system. You would think there would be a little bit more, especially as I've tested the 3/4 ton diesel in this truck, and the braking system was much more aggressive. With this one being the off-road truck and the locking rear differential, maybe they just figure if you need it, you'll use that locking rear differential. It'll save your brake wear and reduce heat in the system. But overall, I was pretty surprised at just how little there actually was as far as the brakes go. This time I just stayed in it, kept my foot all the way down on the floor. I'm going full throttle through all of this and just seeing if the truck can actually do it without having the rear differential locked. And we are able to make it, but it was a close one. I do quit here just because the truck was shaking so much. I don't want to damage anything. real quick, hill descent control. You must be in 4-wheel drive low. Go ahead and hit that button. Shows up right there's your speed, and you use this to adjust it up or down. Right there, using the shifter plus or minus. So let me go ahead and get on this hill. Seems rather precarious. So now the hill descent control is doing all of this, and I will up the speed. And there you go. So max speed's 5 miles an hour, and the lowest is 0.6, and it does a really good job. Underneath, we see that everything is tucked up nicely, and there are skid plates protecting all of the vital components. This thing is very well built for off-roading. All right, we have a winner. Headlights are off, fog lights are on. It passes the fog light test, seeing fewer and fewer of those. Thanks for watching Engine Adventures review of the 2020 Ram Rebel. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit like, subscribe. We got plenty of vehicles coming up, and comment down below with any questions you may have, anything you want to see, any tests you want me to do. If you're not liking what you're seeing, if you gave me a thumbs down, make sure and comment and let me know why. I'd love to improve, make things better for you, and answer the questions you have. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great day. How often do you get in your truck and see 745 miles of range left? Pretty awesome. All right, so check out this automatic braking. That did it on its own. The best part is, I'm not actually gonna hit anything. That's grass. So yeah, it might touch, but man, it won't even let me get close to that thing. Wonder if I turn off those sensors. Yeah, so once I turn off the sensors, then it let me go. But wow, that thing was pretty aggressive, and it braked really well. So surprising, that's the first time I've had that happen to me.